You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rosanes. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is a communications trainer and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share it with friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation.
Alper, today we have a guest on the podcast, someone you and I both know well.
Yeah.
Our good friend, Bertay Fişekçi. Bertay, welcome to the podcast. I can't believe it's taken us over 100 episodes to get you on here.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It's great to be here.
Alper and I have both known Bertay for years. And if I remember correctly, we all met at Istanbul Toastmasters, which brings us to our main story today. But before we dive into that, let's learn a little more about Bertay. Bertay lives in Izmir, Turkey, and I think of him as Mr. Employee Engagement. But I also think of him as Mr. Owns a bunch of land, because it seems like so often when I talk to him, he's on his way to look at some
buy
piece of
more
land. Yeah, he's on his way to look at some piece of land he's thinking of buying. Sometimes it's an olive orchard, or sometimes it's a village house or something like that. And in fact, we had to delay this very recording today by a couple weeks because when I asked him, he and his wife were driving out to look at some house that they were buying. So in addition to being Mr. Employee Engagement, Bertay is Mr. Owns everything in the world. But Bertay, let's step back a bit to your professional life and employee engagement.
Yes.
Tell our listeners a little bit about what you do, and especially tell them if they want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a career of 23 years in the global medical equipment companies, Siemens, Philips, and GE. And I'm most of the time proud of that time, and I had a lot of great experience. At the end of this time, I said, let me design my second career, if it's possible at all. I asked some questions to myself, and one of them was, what skills do you need and you are lack of at that moment while finishing my career in the corporate world?
Sure.
And one of them was public speaking. Because, within these big companies, the presentations were like, there's a big slide on left side, there's a big medical machine picture, and on the right side, list of features. And I was in a mood like, hey guys, it's already in the slide. So just read it. Just don't make me talk to you. Just you see, that's the best machine in the world. So don't let me even articulate this to you. So that was the level I was in. So I met my friend at that time, Andreas, and Andreas said, there is a club called Toastmasters. Why don't you just come and see what's going on? And I was in that Taksim hotel in the second floor with this salon, and I was very excited to say, hey, I'm a guest here, and I am this, I am that. But it was not meaning anything to anyone over there. So that was another interesting point. And after some weeks, I joined Toastmasters, and I met you guys there. And actually, Matt, you were my one of the first mentors within this journey.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And you remember probably. And
of course,
the most important, I would say, advice I got from you is go slow. So I took my time. I was pretty excited speaker. I took my time, get slower. And try to sense the listeners' feelings, where they are at that moment while I'm talking about something, and that really guides me through today, because I think it's one of the most important things, that when you are speaking to a crowd, what they are thinking, what they are feeling at that moment, and you have to sense it. You have to, develop a radar about it. So that's a journey I'm working on. It's one of the things that I care a lot.
Sure.
So. Then I started my own company, and my main topic is employee engagement, but public speaking is always with it. So I created some courses. I tried a lot of things myself. So that's always an important tool or an important service that I'm offering for the people who wants to be an engaging leader, because they need these skills. Yeah, basically that's the story.
And tell us, don't forget your contact information. Our guests
Sure.
or our listeners today want to get in touch with you. How can they find you?
Yes. Thank you. Bertay Fişekçi in Turkish letters surely.com is my spot, and there are courses already I'm offering to individuals that they can find, and also services to companies if they like to do something about employee engagement to get their team engaged and working with passion. That's what I am concentrated on.
Excellent. So
Thank you.
let's dive straight into the topic for today, which you kind of already started to touch on in your intro, but let's dig a little deeper into it. Take us back to the early days before you joined Toastmasters, before you met Andreas, and tell us a bit about what you were doing and how you came around to thinking, I need to do something about this.
In a one-person company environment, nearly all our interactions requires these skills. If I do a one-on-one mentoring or coaching session, if I do 1 to 5 a presentation about my services, if I do a group coaching with 10 plus people, let's say, or if I give a training 20 plus people, each time I need these so-called stage skills, and I need to really streamline my communication to be more concise, to be more effective. So that was a topic in my mind, as you said, since before I finished my corporate time. So Toastmasters helped me a lot because, as I told you, within GE, I can tell the name of the company I was working at that time. Within GE, or really global huge companies, there is a slide, and the slide is in the quarters. I mean, four sections, and all 4 sections are full of data and graphics and everything, and it's all in the screen. And the speaker and the listeners are most of the time in different planets. That's the way. So
my favorite slide in the whole world.
I know Alper's sensibility about that. So at that time I was caring about it, but the environment was, I mean, everybody was like, okay, I can read whatever you are trying to tell us in the slide anyway, so why bother? So there is no influencing, there is no emotion transfer, I would say. There is no caring about the end goal or call to action in the end. So I also see now within my last 5 years of this work, I can still see it in many companies. So it's great to help also executives in that journey. I have some customers working specifically on this topic. For example, a founder of a company, when somebody suddenly puts a camera in front of him, he would like to tell everything about his company in a nice, concise, and efficient way in less than 2 minutes. So we will be working on that.
So the public speaking has been very useful for you in your self-employed life as in employee engagement. But back up a second to the days, and you're sitting there in GE and you're watching these presentations. So there's this picture of a machine on the left, and then there's all these bullet points on the right, and people are basically just reading the slide, and you're sitting there thinking there has to be something better. At this point, did you see that at some point you were going to start up your own business, or were you just doing it for the sake of being a better corporate employee?
I mean, I did not plan it until a certain time, of course. I mean, if you have a frequency mismatch with a huge company that you are working for, then you start thinking, what's next? I mean, what's next in a midterm, something like that. So that was my situation. However, I was an engaged employee in all my companies, I would say, and I was really caring that I'm talking about something with passion, and what's happening in the audience. So how are they taking it? Are they taking it to an action? Will they help me with my next project, or are they really convinced? Are they convinced that what I'm suggesting actually is making sense? So I was caring about these. So these so-called standard presentations within the company was really important for me, Matt. So I took a lot of notes on it, so to say, at that time.
And Alper, I don't want to hog all the questions here. So I'm sure that you have questions for Ty too. So feel free to jump in at any time. What's on your mind?
Thank you. Bertay mentioned that he got a lot of feedback from you in the beginning in the club, and not to be too specific about the feedback itself, but I would like to ask, what do you think the biggest change has been in the way you speak in front of people, and what benefits do you think this has brought you?
I was anxious, and I know many people are anxious. And one of the reasons was the audience. They didn't know me, I didn't know them. And that was another level of a challenge in Toastmasters, which I really liked, by the way. So they don't know me, they didn't know my topic. And more or less in the beginning, they didn't care what I would be telling them. So in that so-called negative consequences, what could I do to get them engaged in the beginning and to stay engaged? And in the end, maybe they will step ahead in the end of the presentation about what I will be asking them. So these questions, I think, led me to be a better speaker generally, Alper. It doesn't need to be a 5-minute formal speech, for example. But overall, one note that I would like to tell you guys is that by Toastmasters and by going through this public speaking journey myself, I could see that my communication to one-on-one situations, 1-on-3 situations, 1-on-5 situations has already also been improved.
So, Bertay, let's back up a second to this nervousness hurdle that you overcame, because I know this is a very common hurdle. You know, the first hurdle that people get over is getting into that Toastmasters room in the first place. And then there's another hurdle that they have to get over, which is they're really nervous about actually getting up in front of this group of people who, like you say, they don't know. But somehow you got over that hurdle. So let's go back to your early days in Toastmasters and tell us how you got over that hurdle of nervousness.
All right. I made a lot of bad speeches. I judged myself very, very harshly, I would say. And
was it your opinion or the opinion of the crowd?
Mostly my opinion. So I was a bad judge of myself, and I was taking too much of a challenge. For example, like summarizing a book in 7 minutes. I mean, it's like a book of 200 pages.
Sure.
These kind of challenges, and I couldn't do it very well at all. So it was horrible, and so. But I mean, I just think about it like a climbing a mountain, and after you get to the top, you keep on walking, and after that climbing of top of the mountain, then there's a different feeling comes into you. So I could be slower. I could sense the command of the area of the stage when I'm talking. So that's my area, that's my space. What I'm going to tell is totally on me. So it's me. So when I came to that kind of a level, I would care less about my mistakes, so to say, but care more about the listeners, the audience, what I'm telling and how it's resonating with them. That was even more important. So I made a lot of mistakes, didn't I? Yes, I did, surely, and also in professional settings as well. But then going back and really checking what was missing and what did the other person listening to me feeling. That was the key point that I went back and tried to improve myself.
So Bertay, by the way, I love this metaphor that you use. This is a great metaphor of you get to the top of the mountain and you're walking on the plateau a little bit, and you're walking on the plateau and just have another view of life from up there. This is a great metaphor that you just used. Question for you about that plateau. So you get over this initial hurdle of being nervous speaking, and now you're up on the plateau. And you talked to us a little bit about learning. One of the important skills you learned up there was how to engage the audience. What were some of the other things that you learned in this journey?
One point is, as I say, I felt better while talking, and as you said, that's this plateau. I realized that it's so much open space. It's so wide that I cannot cover it in my life maybe. So each speech I learned something more, and before each speech, I studied on something more. So just to say, as I always say, it's a journey. It's a long journey, and each one of us is in one point of that journey within our own lives, and there is no perfect speech done so far. So that's the mentality I have. Each time when I speak, I try something new, and I try to get something out of it. I have one example. I care about openings, maybe a personal preference, because as I said, get them engaged, get the listeners engaged, and keep them engaged is really important to me within a speech. So opening, I care a lot. So I tried a lot of different openings, and in my courses now I'm helping people that I'm really underlining that if they care a little bit about the opening, they will be really different from other speakers, and they will really reach to their audience more than they even planned. So one little small example about it, I searched for more than 80 TEDx Turkish language speeches to find a good opening. What I mean by that is that even a TEDx kind of a platform, people are not caring that much how they open their speech. So thank you, welcome. It's nice to be here. I thank you for being here. I respect you being here. I was coming here from there, and this happened, that happened. No design, no intention, no message whatsoever, right? So I care a lot. So one little story. I was a guest speaker in one of face-to-face events in Izmir recently, some months ago. There were 19 speakers, and most of the speakers just show their PowerPoint presentation and start saying, "This is my company, this is me, so I will take your 20 minutes and talk about my company, how great that is, etc., etc." So that was okay. I had a different plan. So I said no PowerPoint, and I put two chairs, comfortable chairs in the stage, you know. So when they just shook my hand and gave the stage to me, I didn't say anything to the audience, and I put my hand as if I was talking to a phone, and I said, "Yeah, can I see the human resources director, please?" And then I jumped to the stage and sit down in one of the chairs. And then I said, "Okay, welcome. So I see there are a lot of people leaving our company. So what's happening?" And then I stand up, I sat to the other chair, and I said, "Now I'm a human resources director." And I answered that question. Yeah. So a little bit of a role play. It's not that sophisticated. Yeah. But then it was 4 minutes. 4 minutes that the business owner and the human resources director were speaking. And there are a lot of insights, like some statistics, some actions, and some of the things that really helps me with my messaging. That was embedded within that conversation. I cannot tell you, Matt, the people were like opened eyes, and then they were really surprised seeing that no PowerPoint, and the guy is like talking to himself, but he's talking something that really, resonates with the whole thing. When I finished this 4 minutes, I jumped down to the stage, to the sitting area, and then I took a deep breath and I said, "Yeah, I'm Bertay. Let's meet now." So that was great. That was great. And 18 minutes, I could see the eyes of the people who are listening that were really high, and I just had 3 points. Tick tick tick. I just go through the points, and I love it. And as I really learned about it, and then I told about it to other people, I get this video of this 4 minutes and put it to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn likes organic content. That was great. Many people love it. So my thinking is like that, Matt. So try new things, learn new things. And this plateau you mentioned, it's so wide. I cannot see the end of it.
And in a moment, I'm going to throw it back over to you, Alper, for some questions. But I just wanted to comment on one thing, and that is, Bertay, you mentioned that you're making this presentation without PowerPoint, and I think that's great. And almost always, that seems to shock audiences, because the expectation is just there. If you're going to make a speech of any sort, you're going to be using PowerPoint as a crutch. And audiences seem to love it when you get up there on stage and You don't have any PowerPoint, and they know exactly where to focus. They know exactly who to look at. They seem to love that. So,
Exactly.
yes. So let me put over to you, Upper. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to pivot for a second away from public speaking. And Berta, you had mentioned that you had used the phrase engaging leaders and how public speaking was part of how you helped them become that. What are some other qualities of an engaging leader, for example?
Thank you for this question.
Why?
I wasn't expecting that, but that's a great opening. That's a great question. So actually, for me, engaging leader is a leader whom people are dying to work for, dying to work with passion, with their efforts, and in the end, the business outcome is better, the engagement is better, and financial results are better as well. So to be an engaging leader, the culture and the dialogue environment is designed by the team leader, actually, the manager. So even if the whole culture of a company is somewhat different or is different set, a team leader, a team manager can create an island of a great culture within the company. So not many people know that. So actually, I'm working with individuals and with companies to create these islands, to teach these team managers to be great team leaders so that their team loves to work with them, shows passion, and get the business done as well. Results is always very important. What are some of these sub skills I'm working mostly on? Is mostly communication skills, appreciation, feedback, vision communication. Delegation is a topic that I spend a lot of time and effort to tell to people, and also the mindset. I also have another service called Positive Intelligence, and anyone can check positiveintelligence.com, and within Turkey I think I'm the only one promoting it and telling about it. So I am also transferring all the positive intelligence so to say concept to the leadership, so that the leaders can look at the things in a positive way and in a sage way, so to say. So overall, I think managers create a difference. Actually, employee engagement depends 70% on the first line manager. So if these managers show better leadership skills, better communication, and better understanding, the turnover will go down, engagement will go up, and business results will go up as well. So along these lines, I'm helping companies and as well as a number of individuals in that journey as well.
Okay. So any of our listeners who will be interested in that can get in touch with you and keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
And Alper, it's about we're coming up on the end here, so we have not much time left for more questions. Before we wrap up for the day, do you have any additional questions for Bertay?
No, I think we have taken enough of his time.
Yes, before we go, I have one question for you.
You have more.
Well, yes, I have more, and I know that this could be a book, but just try to give us, maybe 1 point or something like that, Bertay. Let's back to the public speaking. Tell us a little bit about how public speaking has helped you in your business now.
What I see is, Matt, through 1-to-1, 1-to-2, as I said, to small groups of a discussions where I am talking about my services, for example. Yeah, I see the impact or the convincing or influencing or people trusting me that I will do a good job for them and I will help them, overcome their challenges, is improving gradually as well. That's what I'm seeing from my first year to my fifth year, for example, in my one-person company journey. So I can get to their needs, asking better questions. That's also part of it, by the way. And then really very concisely, I mean very shortly, just like a one line or 2 sentences, tell the main message, and then if they ask questions, then we go deeper. What I see in many corporates today, one of the biggest problems is that top managers don't have enough time, and the people reporting to these top managers don't know how to communicate with them in this very, very concise way. What I will suggest from out of this podcast is that if you're a human resources director, finance director, marketing director for a business owner, just know that that business owner has actually not more than 5 minutes to listen and to contribute to that conversation. So make your point in 2 minutes, not 16 minutes. So make your point in 2 minutes. If there are any questions comes back, then open up whatever this question is coming from the topic. But make it concise, clear, and short.
Yeah, and we're going to have to wrap up on that note, but I just wanted to point out that that's a great point that you make. And what I thought was especially great about that point was that a couple of the main benefits that you're taking in public speaking, they're not directly related to public speaking. You know, you're talking about the ability to focus your message, the ability to engage another person. These are skills that you learn in public speaking, but there are other places where you can learn them too. So it's not directly related to public speaking, but somehow you've dug around in the toolbox of public speaking and you've rummaged out a couple of the best skills that are in there that people can learn. So I wanted to commend you for that. So
thank you very much for this comment.
So let's wrap it up here. And so Alper, so I will see you next week then, huh?
Yeah, and thank you, Bertay, for joining us. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Bertay. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rosanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.